All right, everybody, welcome on back and continuing along, of course. I shouldn't really say, of course. This is my first time logging in with everybody here on the Cybergroup Trading Room, at least this wonderful Friday afternoon, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Guys, welcome on back, like I had said, for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check, as always, to begin. I have had a hell of a day, and I will explain that just in a moment. Great to see everybody here live inside the trading room. Jose, Norman, Michael, Pat, Lori, Andrea, buongiorno. Bonnie, Jeff, Donnie as well. Fantastic, guys. So, guys, let's hop into it. I mean, I lost power at 7 o'clock Eastern time this morning. I hopped up out of bed, took a shower, come back, and next thing you know, I'm out of power. And the storm, the hurricane, whatever you may want to call it, it's well beyond us at this point. So I don't know what happened, but I kind of live in a woodsy area, so it was my entire block. We were out for quite a bit. I was out of internet and cable yesterday. That's why Fausto was covering me during this meeting yesterday, but I still had power. Today, I woke up, no power. So it feels good to be back on. It feels great to see everybody. Kathleen says, great to see you. Likewise, Kathleen. So let's hop into it. OPGN, looks like you guys did pretty well. And by the way, I also have to give a quick shout out to Rich L, who held the fort down live here in the trading room earlier today with our morning audio commentary. So thank you so much, Rich, for that. Hey, let's pick up where he'd left off, right? So, OPGN, we ended up seeing this make a fantastic squeeze up shortly after the market opened up, pulled back a little bit, but then from there broke out, as you could see, from right around 250-ish, 260, all the way up towards eventual high of the day. 444, spiked up pretty much like through like 420, a pop and drop. And for right now, I mean, this thing's on its way back down. It seems like, at least, perhaps it will begin to hold some support. But, I'll tell you guys, for right now, a couple of things. And this is what I usually say for a stock like this. For a stock that makes as big of an extended run as we saw the OPGN, you normally don't see it make a second big move going into the afternoon. If it was holding better near the highs, I would say there's a better chance. So I'm not going to put this on our list for the close. Looks like it was a really nice trade from earlier today. The other thing that I will say is this, and maybe it doesn't really apply, I guess, for today in particular, but it's a Friday, right? So, I'm not expecting a whole lot out there going into the final hour of the day. The markets have been pulling back a bit. So, if we end up seeing, more traction going into the close, whether a squeeze up off the lows or, a continued move on the way down, perhaps we'll be able to follow the market. But, for stocks like the OPGN, stocks like the BGFE, which I'll get to here coming up next, if they made a big move already once today and you already did well on it, I would say just to finish up, on those trades, at least for right now. So BGFV, Big Five, we ended up seeing them make a pop. I think it was a few weeks ago or a couple weeks back. In fact, you can just see on the daily chart here, big gap up. I forgot what the news was at the time. Maybe this was earnings. I don't know if there was any other news that came out this morning, but ended up making a fantastic run. So shortly after the open, although this wasn't on our morning watch list, we ended up seeing this make a nice continued move up, broke above 650 and ran. So, for what it's worth, this was one of our bigger runners, bigger trades, at least going into today as well. The only reason I would be interested in this trade, the stock is shortable. So whereas I say for stocks like BGFE that don't make a second big move up into the afternoon, if this one ends up crapping out the other way, I mean, it's already pulled back a bit. Maybe this would be a good short opportunity. I'm not going to be jumpy and just put this on our list right away, guys. So again, the OPG and the BGFE for right now, we'll keep these on the sidelines. There were a couple of others that did pretty nicely as well. I think it was ADMS. Yeah, it pulled back a little bit, but I saw this going into the afternoon. So, I hopped back into the trading room here, guys, roughly around 2 o'clock, 2:15. I got set back up at my home office, like right around like 1:30. So, I ended up opening up my platform at the time. I saw the ADMS shortable stock as well. Ended up making a nice move. I took my eyes off it, though, just over the last 30 or so minutes. So I wanted to jump back to this. But at this point, not only is it pulled back, it is shortable, but the volume totally died off on this trade. So, yeah, for right now, I mean, I was interested in this one at first, but for right now, for the close, we're going to scratch this. All right, I'll tell you one that is moving really well right now going into this afternoon. I was skipping over it, at least at first. GRPN, Groupon, number 2% gainer right now, still up 56+% going into this afternoon. It's holding strong near the highs. So for that reason alone, I'll put this on our afternoon watch list. I think Groupon had earnings today, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I mean, just not be lazy. I'll just look right behind me. I have my big earnings calendar here in my home office, and Groupon, let's see, it wasn't this morning. I thought Groupon, if I wasn't mistaken, I thought they had earnings. Maybe it was yesterday. You know what? I guess it wasn't on my earnings calendar. I thought it was. I'll take a quick look on Benzinga Pro. And in fact, I'm doing this actually all on the same computer. So you know what? I normally don't have the chance to show my Benzinga Pro, but at least today I do. So GRPN, what's the news on this? Why is this up so much? Yeah, better than expected. EPS quarter 2, that was on Thursday. So I guess I was right there. Ended up making a huge pop shortly after the market opened up, ran beautifully, up until the mid to late morning, up towards just about 25. Looks like it got really shaky, although it was pushing a new high of the day at the time. But yeah, for right now, I love where this is, right underneath major resistance off of 26, a 19,000+ share order on the ask. So, easily for right now, I'll put this on our list. And also for the fact that this stock is shortable, if this ends up crapping out the other way, which I wouldn't believe for it to, but, if it does, then at least this hasn't pulled back at all just yet. So perhaps there could be a lot of room on the way down. All right, guys. So what we're actually going to do is go right from top to bottom. There are a couple of others that I want to jump to really quick. For the ones that we ended up calling out or trading, at least from earlier this morning, I'll review them as much as I can. Again, guys, I kind of just opened up my platform right around 1:30 Eastern time. My power was out. So Rich L was running the show here inside the trading room. The CNDT, I will mention briefly, I missed out on the morning run. This was one of my first call outs upon re-entering the trading room. So at the time, I was looking at this hold a higher low off of 390. And at the time, I came back to it. It was pretty shaky over 4. So this is kind of one of those situations where I came back to it after it was shaking through the level. So I avoided this at first. But with this beginning to push back up, I made the call out saying, hey, CNDT, worth watching at 4. If it's making these higher lows and, beginning to, just push back up, it's only a matter of time. So I ended up jumping in on this trade at 401. I ended up closing at 416 on the pop just to take the money. At the time, I didn't really see a huge iceberg order on the ask, but it was more or less just for the fact that CNDT, it had a tough time breaking over its VWAP right around 409, and I was figuring a pop and drop from there at least. Well, for right now, it's still shaking around that 409, 410 price. So take the money and run, right? I missed out on most of the action earlier today, so I got to catch up somehow. The CNDT trade heading into the afternoon, I wouldn't mind putting this on our list. It's still very tradable. I would say, if anything, it's trading a lot of volume, which means that it could just be exhausted. So for as big of a run up as we had earlier today, it dumped right back down. And for right now, if this continues to hold resistance off of 410, although it's over 408, the VWAP, if it holds higher, lower highs here and then slams back down, it wouldn't shock me for this to tank into the close. Really, this be a shortable trade at least at that point going into the afternoon. Right now, it's still holding over the VWAP, holding a higher low from 405, but, just food for thought. It's a tradable stock at least. So, I'll definitely come back to this. I want to go through the rest of the gainers and losers list first. I wouldn't mind adding this to our list, especially now with this beginning to move back up a little bit more. Hopefully this ends up running higher. So Groupon on our list, CNDT, at least for right now, kind of on the side. OPGN we scratched off already, and at least from this point, just go right from top to bottom. The HBP stock, number 4. Just tight range for as much as this stock is up. It did most of its move here in the after hours, and then the spike at 8 o'clock in the morning. Just pretty low volume, at least as of right now. Not total across the day, but on average over the last 20 minutes, the stock's trading about 2,500, 3,000 shares a minute. It's making a higher low, kind of moving back up towards that 250, but at least for right now, I'm going to pass. If it ends up popping and you guys see it, type it in the chat board. Let me know. Wouldn't mind coming back to it if that's the case, but yeah, for right now, we'll pass. KZIA, just this looks like a total pump and dump. I hope nobody got caught up in this trade earlier this morning. It's obviously easy for me to say that. The float, 6.59 million, so I will say that's pretty low. So a lot of these low float stocks, they end up moving up in the after hours or early in the pre-market, then dumping off shortly after the market opens. Yeah, EDMS, we already went through briefly. True TRUE, just super flat, shortable, but really flat. The BGFE making a spike back up. It is shortable. Maybe this has some more life left to it, at least for right now. I'm not going to just throw this away for right now. I'll put this on the side list. All right, let's skip a few here, guys. I want to get to some familiar names that I've seen at least in the past. Acer, I saw on my scanner just make a new pop earlier and pulled back. It is shortable, but the volume really died off. I'm not really too much of a fan of that. HCI, RC moving up a little bit. Everything seems spotty. The chart, that is just a spotty graph, a spotty chart. CLSK, this has been an absolute monster the last, like month already at this point, right? I mean, what, since like July 2nd to, August 7th at this point. But yeah, CLSK, it's hard to not put this on our list at this point, just given the recent pop. It is shortable. It's hard to borrow. I mean, I don't know if you'd be able to get the shares if it were to break lower at this point, but moving back up, we'll see if this has one more run left to it. Let's see, 12,700 share order on the ask. It's at 929, that is. Not much at 950 just yet, but that's the high of the day. Oh, 960 is high of the day, pardon me. 8,200 share seller, a little closer to that high. All right, well, for right now, 929 is your resistance. I mean, clearly, it's been holding underneath that for the last few minutes. Looks like a Fausto flag building. All right, so yeah, definitely CLSK, at least for right now, we'll keep on our list. AMC, I also saw make a new high earlier going into this meeting. Popped, dropped, but I do like the recent activity, the recent volume, pulled back towards that VWAP price, 475-ish, and trying to move off it right now. So yeah, AMC will make the cut here too. Oh, whoops. Jump back to CLSK there. Scanners reset. All right, what else do we have? I have a chat here from James. Did you hit on the ABUS yet? No, I didn't, but I'll get to that in a second here. I'm just finishing up the gainer side first. FLDM, familiar name, moving back up a little bit, kind of slow and spotty, like I'd said earlier. A lot of stocks are. Tradable stock, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind, taking a second look at this at the end. Pat saying the Groupon trade already popped, so that one's already on our list with great reason. Zillow, Z, pretty expensive coming off earnings. Not really doing too much. All right, let's hop over. Actually, you know what? Let's go to James's ABUS, and then we'll hop over to the losers list. Guys, also, if there's anything else that's moving up or down more than 10%, that looks pretty active, that looks like, a worthwhile opportunity to follow into the final hour here, let me know. ABUS, there's a reason why I didn't find it on the gainer side. ABUS down 16+%. So you know what? I'm going to just jump ahead here first, James. AYX, just to go from top to bottom. I mean, really pricey. So I normally wouldn't put a stock like this and feature it on our main list. Given the direction here, it's hard to avoid this stock, right? So going into the afternoon, it's not even to say 50 cent and hold levels. The spread's still pretty big. The order book is very thin on both sides. So I wouldn't guarantee that every 50 cent level is going to hold very nicely. Every whole number, even perhaps, I would say at $117 here, you even have just, maybe 1,000 shares on the bid from the NASDAQ. It's the biggest order that you see so far, and I even read that from my level 2. So at least given the direction, the activity, how much this stock is down, I'm definitely going to put this on our list. I normally wouldn't look to trade or feature, such an expensive stock. But, either way, if this ends up breaking lower, this could be a really nice opportunity to see free fall. Or if the shorts end up covering, you might get a really big pop going into the close. So either way, just keep a good eye on it. And hey, if you're, one of the ones that stays away from the more expensive ones, at least at this point, don't let it be a distraction. Scratch it off your list. All right. I'd say the same with GSX. We've followed this stock on and off over the last 6 months, I'd say, really over the last 3 or 4, if anything. I've seen some crazy pops and nice intraday runs on this stock, back from mid-June, popping from 42 all the way up to 55, going back into early July, a little over a month ago. All right. For right now, I mean, this thing's got a big spread, bigger than that AYX, and that one's even pricier than this. Yeah, for right now, I guess I'll pass on this. Vivo, near the lows, tighter spread, much cheaper. I'll pass. The DDOG trade, pretty active. I'd say kind of on the same line as that AYX, still kind of holding strong near the lows. Broke a new low just a moment ago, but popped back up. Holding over 75, I would say that would be a really strong support level to watch going into the afternoon. Not just a whole number, but also for the fact that we ended up seeing a big volume spike once that support broke. So broke through the level, moved back over it, holding over it here in the meantime. Perhaps if this breaks below 75 convincingly going into the final hour, you'll see this make a new low into the end of the day. If it doesn't, then maybe we'll see this begin to make the squeeze back up. But yeah, for right now, DDOG, I don't mind putting this on our list too. I think that'll be my cap for the expensive stocks into the afternoon. So now we get to James's ABUS. So asked if I was on this earlier. I wanted to just go right from top to bottom with this on the losers list here. Dropped off after the open. Seemed like it could have been a nice short. Also, it seems pretty flat, but if you zoom in, it's dropped off about 12 cents over the last 30 minutes. So it's not necessarily like watching the paint dry. I mean, if you trade the more, volatile stocks, it might be, but this is a nice level one stock. If anything, this is kind of making lower highs, pulling back to support off of 365. It seems like a tradable stock at the least. So I don't mind putting this on our list, James. Good call. I wouldn't expect to make 20 30 cents a share on this stock. That's just the thing. So know your worth on a stock like this. That's all. But shortable, tight spread, liquid order book. So certainly not too volatile. Definitely a good tradable stock. Yelp on the way down. Also kind of same line of thinking. This one thinner order book but tight spread, more volatile stock just given name brand. Seems like the volume really died off after like 10 o'clock. Bit of a spike at 11, but after that, just like a ghost town after. Big drop off after the market opened up. I mean, I'm going to put this on our list, definitely. It looks like this made a drop and pop back from 2250, although I would say there's not really a whole lot of volume that got filled there, at least in relation to what happened here. Maybe 2255-ish, 22, yeah. It seemed like it was a pretty strong base, pretty strong support from the chart. Bigger volume spike here compared to 2250. So, keep an eye on both price levels, perhaps 2250, 2255-ish right here going into the afternoon. All right. I'll tell you, not a whole lot I'm like truly in love with. I love the Groupon, or I should say Groupon, I like, a decent amount. So that one definitely I'll look to focus on. AMC is one that we are pretty familiar with. So I do like that one as well. The DDOG, the AYX, look good. Pretty expensive though, right? And CLSK, we're hopeful for a new move into the afternoon. We don't know if we'll get it, but it seems pretty active, so it's worthwhile to follow. GoPro earnings, I think that was after the bell yesterday. Dumped off, and then I guess broke below 5. That could have been a nice opportunity to short if you were there to catch it. But yeah, for right now, I'll pass. All right, guys, if there's anything else, let me know. We got from Norman here, at least in the trading room. CNK, nice pop. Cinemark. We ended up having our eye on this trade also. If I turn behind me. And this one I wrote down. Yeah, so Tuesday morning on the 4th this week, CNK posted their earnings. So I don't know if there's any new news that's coming out since, or if this is just a short squeeze on the way up and then dump back down. But I like the call. Very good call, Norman. Nice. So CNK and AMC, two movie related stocks just going on our list. I mean, obviously, they made similar moves. You could see here, right? So something has to be out. You know what? One more time, we'll break out the Benzinga because I normally don't have a chance to feature this on my screen when I do these meetings. So yeah, take a look. AMC movie studios can own theaters again as court scraps 1948 deal. All right. And I guess that's the reason why CNK is popping as well. All right, cool. Give me a quick sec just for all of us here live. I'll post this across the board, just on the news side at least. All right, cool. And then also Norman's my sidekick right now. He's cleaning up on these call outs. He made a great call out earlier on KSS Coles. I'll get to that. He just typed Met first. So MetLife popping pretty nicely as well. See, here's the thing, right? I mean, MetLife, I don't know if they're related to KSS. I doubt. I know that KSS, of course, related to Macy's and Nordstrom. Just all department stores moving up pretty nicely. So they all seem tradable, right? It's hard to put all these stocks just on our main list, right? Because, if they're all tradable, they all look like this. I'm going to have a 50 stock list going into the afternoon. So I'll tell you, Norman, MetLife, KSS, even Macy's, like I'd said, and JWN, all great calls. They're all up, decent 5+%. If you ended up doing well on any of them earlier, then stick with that going into the afternoon. I love the trends on all of them. And yeah, MetLife is insurance. I was kind of playing dumb there, but yeah, MetLife, I doubt it was related to KSS, but MetLife is insurance, yes. All right. You know what? How about this, actually? Let me take a look. You guys know I'm a big Riot and Mara trader here, at least over the last few weeks with Bitcoin moving up and down and so forth. I'll tell you. I'm going to put Riot and I'm going to put Mara both on our list going into the close. So how about this? For all of us here inside the trading room, for all of us on YouTube, Facebook, if you've been following me specifically during these afternoon broadcasts, then I want to ask you a quick question. Why am I so jumpy to putting Riot and Mara, both of these, on our list going into the afternoon? Riot is really doing a whole lot of nothing right now. Mara, M-A-R-A, a little more volatile, I'd say, than Riot. I guess it's popping up a little bit off of 4. Donnie says they run. Well, that's true to a degree. Mark says they don't run in the afternoons usually, right? So with that, if they don't normally run and make, continued moves going into the afternoon, and normally in the case of Riot and Mara, when they're trending up, I normally say they normally don't break out going into the close, right? All right, well, Riot's down 15%, right? So if that's the case, then maybe my logic would tell me that Riot and Mara are not as likely to break lower going into the close. Maybe they'll end up just stalling out. So, for right now, they seem to be holding pretty nicely, in particular Riot, double bottom, moving back up. So I'll tell you, I think it's low risk, not necessarily high reward. I hope so. If anything, the worst case scenario would be you set a tight stop, you lose a couple of cents, and that's it. If anything, the second worst case scenario would just be that it stalls out from here and does nothing, right? And not really be worth our time. But for right now, based on that logic, I don't mind just putting Riot and Mara both on our list heading into the close. All right. All right, guys. If there's anything else here, just let me know. Got from one of our members here. That's right. So OPGN, I've had a comment on. I'd go back to that. It's kind of breaking lower here. I'd said earlier just on this trade, if this stock ended up making a big move once already across the morning, I wouldn't expect for it to make a second continued move going into the close, especially with it dumping back down. If it was holding strong closer to the highs, I'd say, potentially it would run higher into the afternoon. I want to jump back quickly to the side list stocks I'd said, actually. The CNDT, look at this. Continued to squeeze up towards $4.35 or so, but pulled back. I mean, hey, this seems pretty active still. So I really don't mind putting this on our list now at this point. We've ran through the gainers and losers list. We don't have too big of a list at this point, and this has been pretty active all day. It is shortable for those of us with trade stations. So, for right now, it's beginning to make that pullback. And BGFV up 28+%, pushing back up over 8. I just feel like this stock, it has a tight spread, thinner orders on the book, but you know what? For right now, kind of the same rules apply. I'll put this back on our list. This BGFE trade seems pretty active still, moving up steadily off that low, 770-ish. The last one, FLDM, I had on the side list too. Yeah, it's beginning to slowly crawl back over this peak, but out of the 3, I'll put those first 2 on, and then that FLDM I'll kind of scratch. Can we put the list on Twitter? Absolutely there, Peter, from YouTube, just in a moment. Absolutely, we will look to do that. All right, guys, so in total, I'll get a quick count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stocks in total. Like I'd said before, if you tend to avoid the expensive ones, then just scratch those off your list right off the bat. Don't let them be a big distraction to you. All right, guys. Aside from that, we're going to focus on this list here at first. I'd say this list provides us the best opportunity to try and catch a runner into the close. Otherwise, if there's anything that ends up making a new high, breaking out pretty sharply, our scanners will pick it up. We'll look to call it out shortly after. For all of us on YouTube and Facebook Live, well, it feels good to be back. If you guys would like to learn more about CTU Cyber Trading University, first and foremost, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and notify yourself on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/cybertradingu. And aside from that, guys, for all of us here live inside the trading room, same rules apply. It feels good to be back up and running. I'll be taking us going into the market close. All right, guys, talk to you all soon.